Okay, we are recording. It is September 24th, 2023. This is Refracted Notions Podcast. I'm here with Mauri Gonzalez and Joseph Guzman and myself, Damien Rivero Cruz, and we're going to get started with the topic of today, which is Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yes, we're finally back. I think the last one we talked about all kinds of stuff. We started with depression and addiction, and somehow, some way, we ended up on artificial intelligence. So today we plan on starting a topic that I think a lot of people will, obviously take a stand, take a different side of the spectrum, maybe be refracted all over the room. But we start there and maybe we end up somewhere else. I don't know, something completely tangent. But Joe, do you want to say anything to catch up the listeners?
Oh, no, nothing particular. Just, happy to be back. And I guess let's get started. I think the first thing we kind of have to talk about if we're going to, even begin this discussion on Kyle Rittenhouse is to figure out what is the stance each one of us has and, what kind of constitutes that stance. And I know that, obviously the situation is that, self-defense and no charges were filed, although the court of a public opinion is, still changes and is still kind of divided on this. So I'm going to kind of lead it on to Damien to kind of start us off here to kind of see how things are going.
Okay, yeah, just to get right into it. What do I think about Kyle Rittenhouse and the trial? I think that the jury did a great job. Obviously, me and Mauri in the past have been discussing back and forth on what implications, how do we see him as beyond the court's decision, whether he is morally right or morally incorrect for doing what he did that night. And I'm just going to go out and say I agree with the judge's decisions. I agree with the trial. I agree with the jury. I think the prosecution didn't have enough evidence. I think the defense had enough evidence to prove. And not only that, if you look at the video of the night of the event, it clearly shows you how he acted in self-defense and how the media and news stations, big media news stations like CNN, MSNBC, try to conceal, omit information. They edited the videos. They misrepresented what had occurred. They try to paint Kyle Rittenhouse as a Nazi or as a racist person. They misinformed the public. At one point they mentioned that he had killed 3 black BLM protesters. They were all white. One of them wasn't even a part of the protest. He just gotten released from like an insane asylum, and he ended up just walking into the event, and he's the one who caused the whole turmoil to unfold, really. But we can take it from the beginning, what happened that night. We can take it from the very beginning and what interaction is the cause and what sparked the event. And it's going to be with Rosenbaum and Kyle Rittenhouse, their interaction. That's what sparked the whole event. So, Mauri, if you want to add something, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up some sources on how it went hour by hour, minute by minute.
Yeah, I mean, this was obviously a discussion that Damien and I had, and it was thorough. We started with disagreements on like whether he should have been there or not, and from my end, from what I got from the media, from the news, was that this was a guy that was in possession of an assault weapon, and that he had crossed state lines. So he had gone from one state to another state to basically be part of a protest or maybe protect like local businesses. And we have to take into account that at the time, I'm not sure what the date was. Damien, remind me what like that around what year this was. I think 2021 or 22.
Here, let's see. I think it was around 2021.
2021. So this was fresh off the pandemic, I think there were a lot of lingering effects.
Oh, no. Okay, I got the exact date. So it was August 25th, 2020. Kyle Rittenhouse. That's when it occurred.
Was this before George Floyd?
This is after George Floyd. So this was actually due to the rioting that occurred was the civil unrest was due to the Jacob Blake event, where they thought that it was the shooting of Jacob Blake was not right, and so this was a few months after George Floyd. So it was already out there in the air. This bad taste was in the air of George Floyd and what that started. And so, the uncivil unrest and feeling towards the police was very much alive. And so when Jacob Blake, when that event occurred, it stirred up things in Kenosha. And so you had protesters, rioters, and that's how that event started.
Yeah, well, see, this was one. I mean, the lingering effects of funny that we talked about the socioeconomic impact on like minorities, but like the pandemic played a big role on highlighting or like spotlighting the disadvantages that certain people, minorities predominantly, were going through during the pandemic. And also, we have to take into account the whole like race relations kind of aura around that time of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Blake. So all of these things that were happening, because of the riots, because of the whole economy going to hell for pretty much everyone. And so from what I understood from, the whole story about Kyle, was that he went to the protest to protect a business of his family's because there were like rioters around and they were like looting, and so that was that was what I took from like the right side, that he was a protector, and that he was trying to do good, like a good guy with a gun. From my end, I think this was a guy that, number one, was underage, number two, shouldn't have had possession of a weapon, number three, shouldn't have, if he's going to protect himself. I don't think an AR-15 or whatever weapon he used, I could be wrong on that weapon, but it is the right kind of like tool to bring into a protest, because at the end of the day, you're putting yourself in danger, and then you're also putting others in danger by bringing a weapon of that kind, which I'm pretty sure guy 17 years old probably didn't have the appropriate like training, psychological kind of training to be dealing with a weapon that that powerful. So I think, not to sort of conclude my view on it, but I think that though people might want to portray him as as someone that had to go through the legal system to get his name cleared, I think in the end, obviously he was in the wrong for being there.
Okay, so that's one perspective to look at it. You're thinking he was in the wrong because he took a gun to a protest where other people had guns too, because he wanted to defend himself, and he wanted to defend property, and he wanted to provide aid to other people. So he's wrong for going to an event armed where other people were armed, and I could see how you can look at it as wrong, because why are you going to bring arms to a protest, or to a civil unrest, or to a riot? And his argument would be, I was trying to help. I was trying to prevent businesses from being broken into. I was trying to provide aid to other people, and I think, and I brought my weapon to protect myself in case I need to. So it depends how you look at it. Obviously, there's nothing that can prevent a citizen from carrying a weapon. I'm not sure. We can look into the laws over there in Kenosha if open carry is illegal.
Hey, Mounty, I guess I have kind of a question. Let's see. How would you have handled it if you were kind of like in a situation like you're a business owner? And I mean, I know a lot of people use the language of protest, and there probably was a protest at some point. But I mean, Damien kind of, in other conversations, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a protest. It was a riot. There was buildings getting burned down. There was people's personal items getting destroyed and stuff like that. It was a protest, but in a I guess a different sense. I mean, in the more violent way, I guess, or maybe that's what it was portrayed as. But if you were kind of like a business owner and you were kind of like dealing with this situation, how would you have handled it if you were kind of like in a similar situation? Just out of curiosity.
No, I mean that's a great question, because like one thing is to say it and to sort of be like the ethics kind of guy and sort of throw out like, hey, that he was in the wrong for bringing out a weapon. But as a business owner, I think I would have put my trust in the police. I think if a lot of people talk about like, okay, well, disarm the police and stuff like that. No, I don't think disarming the police is the solution. In fact, I think that at certain moments like riots or protests that turn violent, the police is the main resource that we have as a community, as a society, to rely on. So I think I would have done my due diligence, and I would have basically reported it to like higher authorities like the police, and like I'm sure they would have had like protocol to like deal with like massive protests. It's not the first time that that there have been people walking around and being angry and stuff like that. So I think I would have dealt with it in that way. I would have also probably, if I was a business owner, I would have gone into my business and just made sure that I was not displaying a weapon for sure. Because to me, I think he was displaying aggression. It was fighting fire with fire. I don't think was the answer. And to remind me, I mean, what was there like looting going on during the protests, or did the looting happen and did the whole like anarchy happen after Kyle defended himself?
Yeah.
So no, there were fires, there was looting, there was rioting, there was all of that, and there are videos where you see Kyle Rittenhouse with a fire extinguisher putting out fires that people had started. So it's not like it was one night of the protest. This protest had been going on for days since Jacob Blake had occurred. I'm not sure how long it went for after that, from the time they started to the time they ended, but it was not like one single day. It was maybe weeks.
Yeah.
I know that in Portland, Oregon, it went for like over 100 days of protesting.
Yeah.
And people rioting and looting and causing chaos.
Something that I'm thinking about, because like Marty, you kind of brought up some points here about trusting the police would have helped to call the police and stuff like that. But kind of like adding to what Damien said, I mean, I know this was like a time where things were kind of enduring for a while, and to be honest, like even here in a big city, that I'm in, like you can call the police and you don't even know if they're gonna come in the next hour, the next couple hours. Like just imagine just the chaos. I mean, these policemen, it was probably the first time in the city experiencing something like this. Like it's the first time they had to whip out the armored vehicles and kind of go and do this type of patrol. It's kind of like very new territory. So obviously there's a lot of new things going on during that time. One of them being that people started, setting up their own militias to kind of protect their own personal their own businesses and whatnot. So it's kind of like, those folks, they probably trust in the police too, but obviously resources were stretched thin. You know what I mean? I don't know if the National Guard got involved at this point either. Maybe it was like a combination of both. But I mean, luckily in our cities, we didn't experience anything like that. I don't think like to that degree. But so it's kind of hard to say like all the resources that were kind of put into this, and it happened so long ago, so I don't really remember. But I can imagine that resources were definitely stretched, and people had the belief that they had to take things into their own hands in order to kind of keep the peace per se.
Well,
go ahead, Mark.
I know, just like a little short kind of like add on to it. I think the minute we think that people can sort of not take over, but take control of the situation in a better way than the police, I think we sort of now stepped into a territory where it's like that's even more anarchist. That's even more of a danger to society, to sort of like, okay, well, the police can't do anything, so I'll just take matters into my own hands. And I agree with you, Joe. I think we were at a special time in the country where there was just so much unrest, both social and economic unrest at that time, that even police didn't know how to act. I think that was, if this was after George, police didn't know what to do in those situations. Can we use force to protect others, to protect small business owners? And how will the use of force be, how will that look on the media? How will that look on us?
I
Yes.
I have the easy answer is yes. This is the reason why we are afforded the Second Amendment right to bear arms and to protect ourselves and our property. This has occurred during a time when there was so much chaos that you could have waited for the police to come help. You could have depended on them, but the help was not. They were overwhelmed. Help was not coming. It in 1 minute your business can be set on fire, looted, robbed, destroyed. You can get killed. You can stay home and watch it, or you can stay inside your property and defend it. If when you're asleep, if there's a riot outside of your house, is your instinct to leave and evacuate and leave everything behind? No, your instinct is to stay, to lock the doors, close everything out, hide in the corner with your weapon, or shoot out and deter any criminal or crime from occurring in your property. That's what was going on. I see a slippery slope here that you're implying that by using our force and not relying on the police station or the police department during the time when they were overwhelmed, which is a green light, in my opinion, for people to act and defend themselves. Yeah, just because people and during that moment use a militia or they came up with their own ways of defending their property and businesses doesn't mean that it's going to cost like some kind of gateway opportunity to just neglect and you stop using the police department. We can use them when they're effective, but in a time like that, it's definitely okay for you to defend yourself, and that's why we have weapons. That's why we have the Second Amendment right. But just to add in, something that from the beginning, the law in Wisconsin, yeah, it is open carry in Wisconsin, and since 2011. Now it's open carry for 18 and up, but because of the way the law was drafted and what it has to do with hunting, 16 and 17-year-olds can use like long barrel or rifled type of firearms to hunt, and legal experts this is the reason why he wasn't able to get prosecuted on the charge of like open carrying illegally since he was a minor. But let's take that aside. Let's say he was 18. There is an age limit. It's by 1 year. You can focus on that particular set of information, or you can look at the bigger picture and see, because he wasn't the only one using firearms. There were people who had illegally used firearms. I believe, who was it? There were some of the right. Well, we'll get into that information later on. That's adding too much to it. But when you have rioters toting guns, and you have somebody who's 17, almost 18, who's there trying to help, and during a time of chaos also. Let's not forget that this is a moment of chaos where even the police department cannot help. And you have a 17-year-old. Look, if my little street or where we live, if we were surrounded by protesters and rioters, and I had a son who was 16, 15, 17, 18, 20, doesn't fucking matter. If he's old enough to hold a gun and defend himself, I would tell him, son, we are in the middle of a battle. This is a shitstorm, and they might come and break in here. I might not be in the room when it happens, and we need to defend ourselves by whatever way we can. We will try to evacuate if we can, but if we're stuck in it and we drive our cars, because this is what happened in some of the protests, people were driving outside and trying to get out. And you know what happened to those people? They got their fucking cars destroyed. They were stuck. There was no way of evacuating. So all you could do was wait and you just write it out. And if I'm in that scenario, I don't care if the laws say a 17-year-old can't have a gun. I'm going to give my son the gun. I'm going to tell him, look, if we have to go out and defend ourselves, we will. If not, we're going to try to de-escalate. We're trying to avoid it as much as we can. But
Yeah.
Marty, I know you want to say a lot here.
Yeah, I want to say a lot, but Joe, I know you probably before I.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something just little, and I guess Damien's kind of hitting it because like the reason I asked that question, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I kind of want us to kind of have that, just kind of take a, before getting into the facts into whether he break the rules or nothing like that. I mean, obviously he was acquitted, but just to kind of get in the mentality, what could have this guy been thinking at the time, and what caused to drive him to do something like that? And that's what everyone is thinking. You know what I mean? It's kind of like there's a lot of things going on. There's dangers, and here I come. I'm going to come and rescue, or at least help, or something like that. That's it. But I mean, and another thing I wanted to add that was just kind of little, because I think I saw this in the video. Like, I mean, even the police when they were driving around in their armored cars, they, I think they even handed him a water bottle or something like that. I don't know, maybe that's wrong, but I remember there was some interaction there. So I guess even in the police's mind at the time, and I'm not saying the police is the ultimate authority. They make mistakes just as like, other people, but they have some training, whereas maybe some people don't, or maybe some people are more trained than police in some cases. But most of the time, you're a policeman. It's your job. This is what you're doing. You're 9 to 5, doing or whatever. It's 24 hours. But yeah, it seems like based on that interaction, like people like having guns. Okay, sorry, I got a dog situation. I'll let you go, Marty.
Yes. I think, David, you're coming at this with like the argument of the good guys with guns, like, coming in and saving the day. And yeah, I know. I feel like, and though it's well intentioned, that's exactly what I feel we do not want in society. Like to have people that feel like they're vigilantes, and because at the end of the day, vigilantes, they're not the ultimate authority, and people tend to be flawed at the end of the day. So I feel like what
police
ended
are
up
humans too. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, police are humans too, and they make mistakes. But I don't think that people that just feel like they want to protect is the answer to. I mean, that's a good argument for the Second Amendment. I'm not gonna disagree that people protecting themselves and their property with a weapon is what some people consider acceptable. I do think that it does become this like wet dream of like
let me just add one little detail because of what you said about how you don't think that people should take matters into their own hands and become vigilantes or whatnot. There is a law in most states that if you see a crime occurring in your neighbor's lawn or your neighbor's property, you're able to go out there and help and provide aid or shoot the threat. So if your neighbor is being attacked by a criminal, you're able to go out there and legally shoot them, and they can do the same for you, vice versa, to help each other out. But in the way that you're painting it, the way that you're stating it, it seems like, and since it's wrong to do anything, and you just got to wait for the right people to do it, who are the police and only the police, and so you just got to wait for them to get killed and for the police to come and you just do the crime scene and
I'm
go
not
about their
saying
merry way.
I am saying that, if there comes a time when like, police are being overrun and it's like the purge out there, and, then I feel like, okay, it's only okay for someone to, take matters into their own hands and protect.
So the Kenosha event makes sense now.
Under certain situations, but those are like outlying situations that just seem to be like, again, like this sort of like wet dream from the NRA and the people that support like holding weapons that are like lethal, AR-15s. I mean, here's what I support. I support someone having a handgun to protect themselves under a given situation, a threat.
Why? Okay, but why not? So why are you okay with a handgun, but not like a better, easier to shoot firearm that's more effective like an AR? Why that certain gun yes and another gun no? because
For
it's
the
more
same
lethal and it works better.
No, for the same reason that weapons that are more lethal have um a bigger margin of error when it comes to like making a mistake and
No,
harming.
no. You're saying
Yeah.
that a bigger gun has a higher chance of error of missing the target?
Yes, I mean you mentioned like police officers being humans and making mistakes and like
No,
sometimes.
no. Let me just step in and correct that real quick. Firearms are small hand pistols have a higher chance of error because they're harder to aim and shoot with. Longer barreled firearms are easy to shoot and aim with because they're longer. You have two hands that you can hold at different distances, which creates better leverage and control of the firearm. That's why with shooting with an AR is easier than shooting with a little gun because you can only use your two hands together under the handle, and you gotta hope that you're aiming right. So when the recoil occurs and everything, and the pulling of the trigger, the whatever 10 pounds, 1 pound pressure doesn't mess your aim up, opposed to like an AR or some rifle, long barreled rifle, that you have better leverage and you can aim and have more accuracy and less room for error. That's why snipers are built the way that they are. And you don't see a sniper that's built like a pistol because it's
So
easier to shoot with.
you are suggesting that we arm our citizens with AR-15s?
I'm not suggesting for anyone to do. I'm suggesting that people do what they think they need to do to protect themselves. And if you want to decide what is a better gun for home protection and self protection, yes, an assault rifle or a shotgun is definitely is easier to shoot, easier to hit somebody with, and deter and neutralize when it comes to taking out a threat. Yeah, but fire a little gun is harder to shoot, and in most cases, which I think most events occur with a firearm, and when there's a shootout, other people tend to get shot instead of the actual target. You have a lot of shootings during road rage where the guys are shooting out the windows, and we always hear it. Little kid gets shot in the back of the seat. You're trying to shoot the driver, but somehow you shoot the person in the back, but that takes into account the things like driving. But
Well,
still,
yeah, I like this argument that, okay, the AR-15 is like easier to hold. But at the end of the day, dude, it's not the weapon making a mistake. It's the people making a mistake, because the weapon is just really, again, not to sound
let me ask you, who's making the mistake? Like the person who decided to commit the crime, or the person decided to defend themselves? Who's the one making the mistake here?
Obviously the criminal is, inflicting harm on society, and maybe like, the last resource of a citizen is to respond with the use of force. And then at the end of the day, let's not forget that Kyle was underage, and the only reason why he was acquitted was because he didn't buy the gun himself. Somebody else bought it for him.
And he got charged with a federal crime, and he can no longer possess any firearms. Yes,
Well, he was
Mr.
charged,
Black.
and he was going to serve some prison time, but because of the vague nature of like one of the laws from Wisconsin, I think he was not incarcerated. So I mean, so now we are normalizing this behavior of like people.
Marty, now we got to go back to what you said about him not being incarcerated. And when he was charged, and he was his right to bear an arm was that right was removed. So we can look to see what the law is, what the punishment range is, because remember, he might have not gotten jail time, but there's also because there's the law of like cruel and unusual punishment. So you can't give him too much time for certain crimes. So based on that little crime, what's the max years, and what's the minimum, and what else is there? Because his trial could have been he might have been in jail the whole time. I don't know. Maybe part of his trial could have been factored in as part of the time. We have to look at that, because you can't just say that he was let go scotch, because he wasn't. He was charged. He has now for the rest of his life that on his record, and he can no longer legally purchase a firearm.
Kyle or his friend?
His friend, You're making the argument that they let him go scotch free, kind of, and that he's got a slap on the wrist, and so because of that, it's sort of making it seem like it's okay to do what he did, right? That's what you were saying?
Yeah. Joe, would you like to add anything? Maybe like a take on the AR-15 and whether that should be the weapon that Kyle should have had at that time.
Yeah, it's kind of. I've been kind of back and forth about, like, I guess whether you should have a gun like that, just because it's kind of like it kind of because obviously, like, kind of where you're going from it is that, if those type of guns are allowed, then we see what happens whenever whenever someone does like a school shooting and stuff like that. This situation is a little bit different from that. I'm actually kind of curious whether, because there was a lot of chaos during this time. I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse and his situation was the one that we're most well aware of, but whether there's been other scenarios, because I can't imagine that that he's the only one that kind of went through this situation, given that this was happening in a lot of major cities where people have these guns. I'm curious to whether there's other cases out there of folks trying to do self-defense cases and stuff like that. And I guess what makes this one kind of unique, I mean, you've already mentioned a few things. I mean, one of them being he's underage, another one being like maybe he was well, actually, I don't want to speak out of term here, since we're all on the internet, we can get fact checked, but I was thinking that maybe, like, he was part of some sort of group that I guess a militia group or something like that. I don't think so, I'm not sure. But yeah, just I would like to kind of figure out a little bit more about that and kind of like compare and contrast the different ones. But obviously that's going to be an exercise for another day.
Yeah. Well, I before Damien, because I think this sort of like Kyle kind of, I mean, I'm sure you're looking like some of the legal laws that allowed him and his friend to go without prison. And I think we're sort of like, bringing up this argument of whether the AR-15 is a weapon that people should use to protect themselves, or as I think it should be used, or, it's a weapon of war. That's my description of it. I just want to share, maybe for like the people that could be watching this, why I think the AR-15 is not it's a dangerous tool for people to have, for particularly citizens that have no military training. So I just want to show, a list of the shootings that have occurred with the use of the AR-15. One of them is the Uvalde shooting, that killed 19 students and 2 teachers. Mm-hmm. There's also the Buffalo, New York supermarket shooting that left 10 people dead. I mean, these are all recent. These are all, probably 10 years, 9 years that have happened throughout. I mean, obviously there's one shooting.
So here, let's count them from when they started. From the first one on here is from 2012. Let's scroll back down and scroll and make your way up. So the first one is in 2012, right?
But this is a partial list. This is not an
okay, not the full.
This is like one of the most like prevalent in our memory. It's just really there's the Sandy Hook, which I know has been a topic of like I guess for people that tend to be conspiracy leaning. That people think that was made up by the government to take away their guns. But again, an AR-15 was used. There was the, I'm sure, Las Vegas episode or event where 58 people died. That was an AR-15. The Orlando shooting, most people I remember it. That was 49. I think that was the biggest shooting in American history up until like Las Vegas. I mean, there's so many here. These are the ones that have made the news where, the presidents have come out and sort of denounced it and cried on camera. And let me stop sharing.
Marty, you're making a great point for the AR being an effective assassination weapon for people in mass and big numbers of people. That's what I see. Unfortunately, yeah, it was in the hands of criminals. And that's that's something that nobody wants to see. Nobody in their right mind wants to ever see a bad person hold a weapon that can do such destruction in such little time. But that is evidence that shows you how deadly this AR-15 is. Now that's a good point to raise when you want to say, I want to ban this weapon because it's too deadly for citizens to possess. Okay, well, that's the AR-15 is not the only gun like that. There's many other rifles that do the same thing, are shaped the same way. That the people who designed them were probably inspired by the AR or the Kalashnikov, the AK-47, the Russian firearm. That's another weapon. Now you can get non-automatic, and it's just as effective. And if you're able to figure out how to make it automatic, it is way more devastating. But so banning that one particular gun or guns like that altogether that are the same rifle style and shoot the same way and all that. Let's say we take them out of the equation. They're illegal. Okay, they're illegal. The bill was signed yesterday or today. All the good citizens that have them and it's recorded because they register the gun, they purchase the gun legally. They're gonna say, okay, they're gonna go to the police department, wherever they're gonna go and give the guns. Good job, you got all the guns banned and taken out of the hands of all the good people. But guess what? If I'm a criminal, I'm gonna be like, that don't fucking mean shit to me. You think I'm gonna go listen to people who are banning it? I just robbed the fucking store yesterday and I shot somebody. You think I'm gonna go and be like, you know what? It's illegal. Let me go give it back. So you're not gonna take the guns out of the streets. The firearms are still gonna be there, and it's still gonna be dealt with. There's a black market. It's gonna get in through the border. It's gonna get in through China and containers, illegal containers. The firearms, you can ban them left and right. You can take them out of the hands of citizens to where they're gonna have to use a little gun to defend themselves while they're being attacked by 3 guys at a time or whatever. So it's something that who's going to suffer the most from something like this? I don't know. I'm just looking at it and I'm saying you're just taking the guns from the everyday citizens because it's not going to affect the criminals because a criminal is not going to tell you that he has it or he's not going to give it up, and they're going to find a way to get their guns. Remember the guy who in Vegas? He had automatic weaponry. That's illegal. No citizen is allowed to have something like that.
I mean, we'd have to look at like how hard it is to turn an AR-15 from what it is already to a full-on automatic weapon.
I'm sure it's not hard. I'm sure that you can 3D print something. There's a way to do it. But guess what? We can make things. We can make a gun out of nothing. We can make a more superior firearm in our basement. We have, in this day and age, we have all the equipment, all the technology out there that if you wanted to really create a gun that's super fast, can shoot like 1,000 rounds a minute, you can go in your basement, work like for 10 years or 2 years, save up your money, get the tools, get the read books, get your knowledge on it, and create it and go out and create and cause the biggest active shooter event. You can go and do it. It's in everyone's ability because we all have the freedom to do what we want.
Yeah, I just think before I think I should let Joe kind of add on, but I think to me there's a fine line between a good guy that takes matters into his own hands and a bad guy that takes matters into his own hands. I mean,
so there's a fine line.
I think the only difference is what they're using the weapon, what they think psychologically they're using the weapon for. But at the end of the day, they're using the weapon to inflict harm and kill someone. I mean, that's at the end, that's what it happens.
Who are you more worried about, the criminal with these active shooters with the guns, or like an everyday person trying to defend themselves with the guns?
I think both keep me up at night, because it's someone that has lost all sort of faith in our society, and is really using the weapon, in my view, irresponsibly. I hope that they've had some sort of training, but it ends up happening that no, most people that own a weapon don't have any training. They just have a weapon.
So then you are definitely in favor for taking guns from everyone's hands.
No,
and legalizing.
I'm not. I am in favor of the Second Amendment. I just think
Then
that the
then
Second
how do
Amendment,
you propose we get rid of these deadly ARs?
we don't have to get rid of them. We just have to make it harder for people to get them.
So yes, we definitely agree on that. 100%. Hell yeah. One thing that I've always agreed on, and I've always wished that we could do, is pass legislation to where it's everyone gets background checked, not only on whether you have a criminal background, but also were you instituted in a mental institution? Have you ever been? Are you prescribed drugs that can cause you to hallucinate, that can make you become crazy? Do you
Yeah.
have a history of self-harm or harming other people? Anything that could, any little minor fucking detail
Yeah.
like that's important should be listed on a no sell list,
Yeah.
where they are not allowed to purchase any firearm at all.
Listen, I haven't really been through the exercise of buying a gun, but I know that, from the recent events, especially, and I think now we're kind of drifting away from the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, and we're just talking about just,
Yeah.
just
But we're gonna circle back around it. Don't worry, I'm gonna bring it back around.
But yeah, there's definitely been like a different. Well, I don't know. Like I said, haven't really been through the process, but it seems as if folks have been trying to kind of close those loopholes. It kind of sucks. I mean, we live in a big society. We want to prevent these mass shootings from happening and stuff like that. But unfortunately, it's kind of like, I mean, some of them you just can't. I guess like it's just if people really want to do it, they'll do it. There's so much safe. There's so much. I guess there's a big. I guess I'm thinking about kind of just like what the U.S. uses for to figure out whether a terrorist plot's going to kind of happen. I forget what the thing is. 9/11. What was the rule? What was that thing where you can really get information from folks? What was that law called? Do y'all remember?
Yeah.
Basically, it has to do with kind of like the NSA and stuff like that. Like, being able to really kind of spy on people, be able to really kind of put things together. I mean,
the Patriot Act?
Huh?
The Patriot Act?
The Patriot Act and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's kind of like, yes, maybe things like the Patriot Act will kind of be able to kind of figure out, because a lot of the people that we're concerned with nowadays, because I mean, yeah, you spoke about folks that have like, mental illness, criminal backgrounds and stuff like that. But most of the time, like, I really don't know the background of a lot of these school shooters or just shooters in general for the mass shootings. But some of them are just kind of I forgot what they call them, like silent wolves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
and I agree with you. Like, if they never had access to high caliber weapons, then they'll still go out there and kill people, but definitely the number will be lower. And I mean, people don't really like to kind of view life in the terms of numbers, but I mean, that's just what it is too. Every life is precious, right? Even if it's one person, two versus like 15, like,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just how we're gonna go about things.
Well,
what were you gonna say? Sorry.
No, Joe, I just, you brought up an amazing point of like, okay, who are these people? Who are these people that are committing all these crimes? And Kyle, unfortunately, happens to be, not to be stereotypical, but white guy, 17 with an AR-15. I think Damien brings up he every time we talk, he says like, okay, well, you're taking away the guns from good people. And though Kyle, maybe Damien in your eyes is a good guy, I think that's a 17-year-old that is like not all the way cognitively, emotionally mature to come in a situation where there's people being violent or protesting in the way that they were. I think let
me just interfere real quick on Kyle and what his state of mind is and all that, because I don't know his education, I don't know any of that, but we can just roll a little short clip of it and him explaining his own view and with his own words why he was there. This is like 2-minute video. Here, I'll put it real quick.
Yeah, it's good. I felt like it's kind of like that thing we were talking on the beginning. What is the mentality to understand that?
Rittenhouse is in a juvenile facility in Vernon Hills tonight, charged with 2 counts of intentional homicide, 1 count of attempted intentional homicide, along with several weapons violations. Reporter Richie McGinnis interviewed the Antioch teen that night. McGinnis was interviewed by police because he also witnessed one of the shootings.
People are getting injured, and our job is to protect this business, and part of my job is to also help people. If there's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way.
Independent journalist Richie McGinnis interviewed Kyle Rittenhouse the night police say the 17-year-old Antioch teen killed 2 people in Kenosha.
I don't know exactly what his motivations were. He did tell me that he was there to protect the peace and to provide medical attention.
Are you from the area?
I am from the area.
What brought you out here tonight? You just wanted to provide medical attention?
Provide medical attention to people that need it. If somebody's injured, like, you get hurt, I'm grabbing you.
McGinnis is a witness cited in the criminal complaint filed by prosecutors in Kenosha County today.
The way that he was describing what his role was seemed very detached from the way that he was being perceived. And so that's what I mean when I say he seemed very naive.
Rittenhouse is heard on McGinnis's video saying medical as he walked through the crowd. Tonight, the Wisconsin lieutenant governor reacted to the charges and why Rittenhouse was even in Kenosha.
These armed men who have no connection to even this state. They're guys from our town. So think about how ridiculous that is. Who is he accountable to? Nobody. And for him to even be able to shoot somebody and still walk away from the scene. I mean, you know, they talked about finding a knife inside of the car, not even on Jacob Blake's person. But this guy's carrying around a long gun, killed somebody, just walking freely, was able to get back home to Illinois. Then, you know, we got a much bigger problem on our hands.
Yeah.
So that ending part where he, of course, he's trying to, he's part. I'm not sure how important his role is in the prosecution or what else, but it's there's evidence and it's on the record that as soon as he ran away from the shooting and he defended himself, that he was raising his hands up towards a gun and he was telling the police that he had shot somebody, and the police just kept walking away and they attended the people who were shot first.
Yeah, I mean,
and later on he went and he delivered himself to the police.
I mean, when they take a life, if you're not doing something like that, then it's just there. I mean, there's something wrong. I feel like that. I gotta do something. I have to go about it. But there is obvious bias in that freaking video too. I mean, come on. Like, they try to. He's the freaking paramedic. He's the local paramedic. You know what I mean? With that freaking like that's that
little medical kid. Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, let's just focus on this and this and this. But I mean, obviously, like, when that guy mentioned, like, yeah, I mean, he has this big ass gun. You know what I mean? That was not like, it wasn't just that, like, it wasn't, you can kind of see what I'm saying. You can see kind of how it was kind of spinning.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, the good question was brought out in the video. And to be honest, when I saw Kyle, I think in his mind, he probably was well-intentioned. He wanted to protect the peace. I mean, according to him, I mean, who are we to kind of not allow people to feel like they are part of their community and that's what they want to protect? That's a good thing coming out of him. The bad thing to me is what Joe said, walking around with an AR-15 like it's some sort of toy, and also the question of, like, who is he accountable for and who accounts for him? His dad wasn't there, his mom wasn't there. I mean, Damien, like, earlier ago you were saying, like, hey, if my son and I, were being threatened or looted or whatever, I would give him the gun and be like, hey, we're here to protect ourselves. But in that dream scenario, you're with your son, and so I see in the video, I see a guy alone, no friends, just there with a gun.
Well, he was not on his own. He was there with a group.
Yeah.
He was there with a group to protect that one business.
Can we do something else too? Because I felt like, watching the video I definitely gets a discussion going. I'm really curious about the lead up to the first shooting. Like
we can definitely.
If you can kind of throw that on there, I'm just kind of curious about how he found himself in that situation. I mean, shit, dude. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess they're always recording. I don't know, but
okay. Man, it's hard to find all the videos and go through all the media and how they spliced them and edited. And it's so I want to ask you guys what would be because I have this one video from a podcaster who put together all the videos together, and you can see how it escalated and what occurred. But I am also worried that putting it through one channel could be biased in itself. So what would be a good video to just show it? So it's like that's the hard part about this too. Also, is trying to get the sources that are bias free and lays it all out there and doesn't try to tweak or omit or.
Do you want to be demonetized?
Damien, Damien, is there a way that we can cut this part because I'm about to take a bathroom break?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. While you do that, I'm gonna look up a video and discuss it with Joseph. Joseph, I'll share this one with you. This is the one I was talking about.
I found this one too, but it has it's just a raw video. I look at Reddit a lot. I sent this in the chat, but you can send it in the chat too. The one that you're talking about that I can look at.
And Batty and all my good friends. It was great, but here I am. A lot sure did happen while I was gone. Before we get into the video, I just want to say we have a perfect sponsor for it. That is the USCC board guy.
Since this is someone's commentary, look at the video that I have. It's the raw footage.
This video is going to be about Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old from Wisconsin who...
Oh, okay, yeah. The reason why is because he shows you the events that led up to the shooting and stuff, and he breaks it down, and he's already got it all timeline, and we can at whatever point refute and argue and why he did it like that. But I think it's pretty clean. I don't think he did it to where you can. I mean, the way that he set up the videos in the timeline, I don't think you can really corrupt that information. But I could be wrong. Maybe he.
You know what? I mean, you're right, but dude, let's watch this one video. It's interesting.
The one you have? Okay, put yours here.
It's actually pretty interesting because it kind of gives you the thing that I was saying earlier.
Yeah. Go ahead, put percent now. Put percent now, and let her play. Roll it, baby.
Roll. Let's see. Here we go. This is interesting. Let me see if I can make it. Let's see. This is my first time kind of presenting like this. So let me see what I can do. I'm gonna hit this button.
Woo! I'm excited. Yeah, right. There you go.
Wait,
audio.
If you show it, will we get demonetized? Well, I mean, not that we're monetized.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Joseph, play that damn thing.
To be honest, already. To be honest, since this is the raw footage, if you
play it, baby, play it.
Like that, hold on. Hold on. If you care about anything like that, then yeah, there's a chance. So, Damien, I guess this isn't live.
I'll blur it.
I'll blur
the moments. You can play it.
But look, check this out. This is actually interesting. I'm looking at a video. It's a video of real events, but we don't know a timeline. You know what I mean? But look at this. Look at this situation here. It seems like Kyle's there with his medical kit. He has his rifle here, and these look like they're either other paramilitary or whatever, or the militia.
Yeah, that's the group that he was with.
But something that is clear is that here we have an ambulance. We have city. Here he is with his gun. Here's another gun.
No, we're all the way back by the gas
that's not an ambulance. I want to correct that. That's a military grade.
Yeah, it's actually more sheriffs. You see people here with their arms up. I guess they see guys with guns and they just want to make sure they're not a threat. Sorry, I'm just commenting on this live.
Okay, you just let it play. Just let it run.
I'll let it run for the rest, and then we can talk about it.
Gun.
Hey, thank you, guys. Need water? There's guys far right. You need water. We need water. We'll throw you one. Thank you. All right, come on, guys. Let's get out of here. Damn. You're all here. Thank you.
Let's pause here. You see the sheriff. So there's a different mentality here with the relationship of the police and the folks on the ground.
Yeah, you. You are a civilian. This area is closed to them. You're trespassing. Leave.
Oh, shit. Did you hear that?
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's gotta leave. Because don't forget there was a Kenosha had set a what do they call it when you can't a curfew. Yeah. So it was at 8 p.m. I believe. But anyways, keep letting it roll.
I mean, already, I hate to say it, but I mean that's a sheriff or whoever truck is saying like, dude, you're not helping the situation here.
But hold on, let's let it play because like I'm back and forth. You know what I mean? Hold on, let's just
let it play the whole thing.
All right, let me go back so we can hear that again.
Yes, you. You are a civilian. This area is closed to them. You're trespassing. Leave. Leave now. We got a couple. We got to save a couple, but we'll give you a couple. We appreciate you guys. We really do.
I'm so confused. We appreciate you guys. We really do. We have so. Who is he talking to? Like I don't
To
know.
the guys that helping out with the aid and the businesses and stuff.
It's
But
like
keep letting it roll. Keep letting it roll.
Hey, can we go this way? Can we walk this way? Hold on. I need a step.
I'm sure they have a lot of bottles of water.
That's all we can spare. Nice truck, man. You're going to have to get out of there. You're just the last warning. You're going to have to move south or you're going to have to get off this block. This is the last warning.
As you can see, they're
Pause it real quick.
yeah.
Okay, so now I understand what happened there. So they're talking to other groups of people maybe that were in somewhere else. He didn't say that the entire place was closed off. He said this: you have to leave out of this territory. It's you're trespassing. So when you mean trespassing, that means that there's a border. So if somebody has passed that border and they're telling them to leave, and they weren't leaving, but they were okay. But they were talking to the other group by the business, and they're like, "Hey, appreciate what you guys are doing, giving water bottles and whatnot." So that's what occurred there. That's what we saw.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You're absolutely right because like it's just kind of confusing. Like I don't know.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of groups. There's a lot. Yeah, okay.
But I guess that kind of makes sense. Maybe they were referring to other people and telling them to get out of there. You're a civilian, blah blah blah. Maybe Kyle and his crew was just like where it needs to be. They were saying that you need to get out of that block. It's also possible that the two officers are just like on different wavelengths themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
One is like, hey, get the hell out of here. The other one's like, hey, like we appreciate you guys, but please get out of here. Here's some water bottles. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish it. Let's just finish the whole thing. No more.
So this is 11 minutes, by the way. But
yeah, I know. No, that way we can watch the whole what occurred. Hopefully, we can see everything here.
Do you have a good angle? Yeah, very cool. And you guys local or no? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'm Kyle, by the way.
No, we'll do this.
Coronavirus.
Oh, dude, I'm not afraid of no coronavirus.
Yeah.
In fact, my shirt underneath it says I survived the coronavirus. There you go. Yeah, it's very possible. Was that?
I'd be safe. It's dangerous.
Oh, bro. Believe it or not, I've been doing this for about 12 years, so
Shit, how old are you?
41.
Christ.
And, if you guys see me get hit with something, I'm knocked out, that's when I need help.
Yep.
Or if it looks like somebody's going to beat me at the club, then I need help. Other than that, I can...
We'll be there to help.
Non-aggression principle. I don't want anyone hurt.
I worked at that business.
Oh, he got a gun! He got a gun!
Pause it. Pause it. Pause it. So that right there, that's the beginning part of Rosenbaum when he starts to chase Kyle, and then that first shot is from somewhere else. Kyle Rosenbaum, he throws something at Kyle. He's clearly trying to get away. This is not showing that whole timeline of when he got chased, but this is part of it. So this is Kyle retreating. He's trying to get away. He gets kind of cornered there, and that's when Rosenbaum reaches out, tries to go for his gun, and he shoots 4 times, shooting him like a few times, something in the head somewhere else, and then Rosenbaum dies. He stays there for a while. He gets on the phone with somebody. Who knows who's calling? He might be calling police. He might be calling a friend. Who knows? His daddy. Anyway, the guy bleeds out to death there, and he tries to stay there for a little bit, and then he realizes everyone's against me. So then he starts to run away. This is where you see the video where he trips, falls, gets hit by a guy with a skateboard, shoots him, shoots the other guy who he shoots on the bicep, blows his bicep up before he got shot in the head and killed. So anyways, let it roll from there right there. So this is him being chased, clearly being chased.
Yeah, before you continue it, I just kind of want to add a little bit of what I'm seeing, because I know you've seen the video where he kind of he's being chased and he fires the weapon in self-defense. Number one, and throughout the video, I think about 3 times, he gets told by the units that no civilians should be around those areas, and then Kyle proceeds to kind of be around a dangerous zone. And I think part of the reason why he probably lingers is because maybe he's working with like one particular unit that is I guess has allowed him to kind of work together. But at the end of the day, we all know here that he looks like a kid. He shouldn't be there. He's I think adding help in some way, but really he's not equipped to be in that zone. I think just coming in from my angle, but let's keep watching.
Okay. Yeah, I'll push play.
Oh, by the way, Marty, just out of curiosity, have you seen these videos before?
No, this is the first time. So I mean, I see some of the good that he's trying to, bring, but it's also I haven't seen the other one.
You haven't seen his videos, huh? Okay, let it play. Let it play.
Fuck you!
Get down. Run! Rita, run! Holy fuck. They shooting. I felt them bitches go by. No way, he shot that motherfucker? Oh my god, he shot the guy. Holy fuck. He shot him.
Holy fuck.
Call 911, he's down!
Okay, you should mind your business!
This dude running did it. Take screenshots. That dude shot him. That nigga just shot that dude!
So the orders you hear about yelling no cameras, them is white boys. Yeah, that's Antifa, man. Oh, we got a gun, baby. Ooh, they shoot. Ooh, he shot him. Get back. Shot him, man.
Oh shit! Looks like Kyle's on the phone. Okay. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, keep going. I mean, you can skip the part. You can skip this part. Like you can go to the part where after, because I've already seen this. He's a shot guy. We don't need to see his shot body. We can skip. Yeah, we can put it
Where, dude? Where's the hole?
Wait, where are you here? Where? He's right here in his head, Come on! Put pressure, put pressure, put pressure.
Call the police! Call the police!
Hey, keep your eyes open, keep your eyes open. You shot him?
I didn't.
Hey, you're okay, you're okay.
Dude, that's not gonna help shit.
What happened?
I was just saying, like, I don't know.
Okay,
I feel like
you can skip this part and you just go to the rest of, because this is really looking at a man who's dying. So we can just skip. Okay, he's got shot. So okay, go to the next clip where he's running or whatever.
Sorry, guys, for subjecting you to that.
No, I mean, this is fine. It's just whoa. Whoa, Joe, this is the kind of stuff you watch.
So this is him still running away. So this
I didn't know if there's gonna be other things.
This is the next big event. This is where he trips. So
He's
running away. He's trying to run away. He's trying to go to the police, and this is on his way. He trips and he gets attacked. So roll it right there.
Yeah.
They try to hit him in the back of the head.
By the way, I feel like this is the police's like kind of worst nightmare, worst outcome for them. They didn't want this shit to happen. I feel like the police, when it comes to riots and stuff like that, I mean,
they want everyone to go home and not to be there.
I don't know. I feel like the strategy is just let them burn themselves out. You know what I mean? Let them burn themselves out. But it's kind of like what Marty said, like, you know, him inserting himself in this situation in this way, it definitely did not do that. If anything, it probably was more heartache for the cops for the following days.
So right now he's just going to be running away. He's going to raise his hands up to the police. He's kind of like announcing, I think I shot somebody, and they just go by him, and eventually the next day he turns himself in.
Hey, dude right here just shot them. Dude right here just shot all them down there. That dude just shot them right there. That dude right here. Yeah. Someone injured straight ahead. No! Get out of the road! Get down there! God damn it!
I think that's good right there.
And this is going to be another angle, I think.
Yeah, I think. Okay, let's see if hey, pause it real quick. Well, I want to get a good angle with the third shooter, the third guy with the gun, the EMS, the one who pulls the gun out and shoots him. And I want to see a good clear video and a slow motion so you can see how quickly that happened. Because when you in the trial, they broke it down, they showed it in really good quality, and you can see how Kyle Rittenhouse, he falls, he shoots, and his gun, his AR jams. This is one of the parts of the moment that we're like, it's insane because his AR jams, and there's a way you have to train to know how to unjam it real quick, and he's able to just instinctually unjam it, get it back into service, and able to shoot the EMS in the arm, who aims a gun at him right as head and gets shot. And this is like, so what occurred? He shot the guy with the skateboard. The guy with the gun, he approaches and he stops. He's like, "Oh, I'm not a threat." And then as soon as the guy with the gun sees that he's not being aimed at anymore, I believe he aims the gun. And when he does, he gets shot in the bicep. Kyle stops shooting because he's no longer a threat. He runs away and everything's good. So you see how quick it happened? Kyle wasn't shooting to kill. He was shooting to get away. It's not like he shot the bodies constantly. He shot as soon as he pulled the trigger and defended himself and they stopped attacking him and they were no longer a threat, he stopped firing. Now, when it came to shooting Rosenbaum and the other guy with the skateboard, the shots, it's not like he could have decided how to shoot in that moment. Like, oh, shoot him in the leg so he doesn't come back anymore. No, he had to shoot wherever he could to stop the threat. And as soon as he did, he got away. He tried to help, call whoever, stuck around to see what happened. He realized the situation is crazy, and he's about to get lynched or killed. Run so this is adding too much. Just let this part play real quick.
No, I feel like I think I agree with you. He's using self-defense, and it's a valid reason for protecting his own life. But I think I've used this analogy before, where you go into the woods and then you touch like a beehive, and then what's going to happen? I mean, at some point, yeah, you're going to have to protect yourself, but you're already in a situation where you've put yourself in danger, and thus put other people's lives in danger and ended people's lives.
Yeah, he put himself in danger because in his mind he thought it was the right thing to do for the right cause. But it's not like he actually went and touched the beehive. Okay, I understand the point you're trying to make, but this is further from a beehive situation where you go and touch. He didn't go and rattle the beehive. His language was not that of a person who was instigating anything. His language was like telling people, "Hey, water here. Ed, you need help? Hey, I'm telling people if you need help, I'm going to help you." He was out there trying to help the whole time. Even though he is holding an AR-15, he's not going around and holding it. Hey, he's not cursing at people. Stop fucking firing. I'm gonna fucking shoot you. His language is not even of an aggressor whatsoever. It's of a person. Hey, if you need help, I'm gonna help you. I'm just here holding my firearm. I need to protect myself or something to protect the business.
Well,
he was okay with everyone there. Nobody was cursing at him. And later on, I'll show you a video of Rosenbaum and how he's the aggressor and he's the one who started the event. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let this one roll out. I want to see if we can capture that moment where he shoots the guy in the bicep. I want to see that clip.
Okay.
Oh shit! He shot that guy in the stomach. Oh shit! Shit! People are getting shot all around us. People are just getting shot everywhere, guys.
Yeah, he's already shot in the arm.
Take this. Take this, motherfucker.
Let's not see that.
I'm trying to get on the back. Where, in your back? In your back?
Yeah. Well, Dave, before we keep that.
Okay, I have a. Okay, go ahead, take yours off. You already saw it. I have a good video with good quality that shows, I think, the shooting that I was talking about. I'm gonna go ahead and present mine real quick. Shared now, Kyle. This is the one.
Hope people that are watching this, if anybody watches this, I hope they're not like prone to trauma or anything, because this is pretty traumatic.
Yeah, maybe. I think Damien, do some editing on this one.
Oh yeah, I will.
Blur this.
Blur, mute, all that shit.
All right, you guys can see my clip right here, right?
Yeah.
All right, he falls here. The guy with the skateboard is coming to hit him with it. Okay, no, this is somebody else. I'm gonna try to play it to where we can actually see a frame by frame. He falls. Somebody comes at him. He aims the gun. The guy puts his hands up. So he backs up and he runs away. Now somebody else comes and hits him with the skateboard. He shoots him. I don't know why it keeps playing on its own. This is weird. You see how it keeps playing after I punch it? Well, anyways, I'm just gonna keep letting it roll. He shoots him, and so this is somebody else. This is the one with the skateboard. He made contact right there, right? Okay, I see what happened. He tries to drop kick him, and then this guy comes in with the skateboard here. He tries to hit him with it, shoots him, and he dies. This is the guy right here, the EMS with the backpack. He puts his hands up. He's got a gun right there. I don't know if you can see it on your side. He has a jam. He unjams it right away. He was about to shoot him in point blank. He unjams it, aims it right away. Look, he's got a jam. That's why he's not aiming at him. Even though that's the guy with the gun. Shoots him, has a jam. He unjams it real quick. Boom. Hits him on the bicep.
Well,
He runs away with the gun in his hand. After he had pointed it right at his skull, ready to execute him.
I don't think, to be honest.
Look, he runs at him, aims, boom. I just wanted to put that in perspective. And there is also there is a Facebook evidence of his friend Brent something that had commented that he has spoken to the EMS and said that the only regret he had was not shooting him and killing him, and referring to Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, I don't think, to be frank, I think we're getting caught in the second by second play of how it happened and
I mean, that's important, isn't it? Don't you want to know what happened, like detail by when it comes to something of this importance? You want to know every small detail. What was the action? Did he aim at you? Were you under imminent threat? Yes, he was getting drop kicked. Shot him. He missed the guy who drop kicked him. Didn't kill him.
He was also
the other guy. The other guy who hit him with the skateboard. He made contact. He could have knocked him out. And if he's unconscious with a skateboard, you know what you can do with a skateboard? People use skateboards to break like these glasses, and like during these protests, this hard like tempered glasses, like when I mean like wall, like these buildings with this really strong glass that people would throw rocks and hit and they couldn't break, but people were breaking them easily with a skateboard. If I hit you with a skateboard, it could kill you, it can knock you out. And once you're unconscious and you're being chased by all these people, and the guy with the gun ready to shoot you in the head, he was gonna get killed. So that was an instant threat. He shot him, killed the guy. The other guy with the gun comes at him. He kind of backs up, and as soon as he sees a moment, because there's a jam, he goes in and rushes in to shoot him in the head. And as soon as he tries it, he snaps back with the AR and shoots him in the bicep, and he runs away with his broken arm, still holding the gun.
Yeah. Well, next time there's a protest, I'm not coming out with an AR-15, and like I feel like that's just common sense. Like if it's a protest, you should stay inside. I mean, there's protocols, there's like curfews at that time. The best way you can help is by not being there, by not putting yourself in danger. And let's not forget that he was going to get shot by another person that was there to quote unquote protect. So I mean,
who was going to get shot by another person to quote unquote protect?
The paramedic, the guy with the red backpack that was like there, and then he was like chasing Kyle as well. So I mean, that already is like in a situation like that, no one knows who's your side.
Well, I can't speak on his behalf why he was being chased. Was he chasing to record it? Was he chasing to help? Was he chasing to be a witness? What was he chasing for to actually stop? Because I only see the people who made contact with Kyle were the only people that were involved. Nobody else. Everyone else was just recording, screaming, saying whatever they want to say. Oh, he shot him, but they weren't really interacting, physically interacting. So I can't speak on behalf of the other person that was with helping or not helping.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I'm kind of looking here at the damage assessments for Kenosha. Let's see if I can share. It's a Wikipedia article, obviously, you know what I mean? Because I completely forget about like what was the reasoning for all this stuff to begin with. But yeah, there it is. The city property, $20 million for the city. And then for private property, 50. You know what I mean? This includes an old building. I mean, I'm not saying that, there. I wonder how many lives were lost. Was it just those two out of all?
Well, it says fatal shooting down there. What is it on August 25th?
Yeah,
is that the only one?
So
that's the guy, Cage Cross Kretz or whatever. That's the one who was shot in the bicep.
Yeah, at trial, Rittenhouse was acquitted of all charges.
Well, that was the only shooting there, the only killing. That's good. That's very good.
So that also says something else, right? Maybe if he wasn't even there to begin with, all we would have been dealing with was just damaged property, which is it's like it just life is it's something else, right? So
right.
it's kind of like, maybe.
Well, I mean, you can say that maybe it wasn't there. Maybe a Rosenbaum wasn't there. How about that? Why everything on this kid who was trying to like do his part in the community the way that he sees it and trying to go there with his own idea of good intentions versus a guy who's clearly not there with good intentions. Like anyone can tell you. I mean, we keep looking at Kyle like Kyle's a scumbag. He's the one who shouldn't have.
No.
Kyle's the one. He's the criminal. He's the one who wanted to kill people. He's not a hero. So, but it's like, what do we look at the one who started this, Rosenbaum? He's the one who started it.
I'm just saying, like, maybe there would have been no deaths. I'm not saying that, it's all Kyle's fault. It was a bit of a situation, but it was a situation that I guess I don't know if it could have happened another way if he wasn't there to begin with. I don't know. I guess the police, it just really seems like the strategy is whenever you're dealing with, if you're trying to not kill people, like to kind of like enforce stuff, like be a deadly threat, then the best way of like dealing with these riots, I guess, is just to let it kind of burn itself out. And this was like, I mean, obviously this was not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the cops are armed too. You know what I mean? Kyle Rittenhouse is armed, but the cops are armed. But it really does seem like there was no police presence like on the ground. Like they knew that they needed to at least like keep more people from coming in. I mean, people were being arrested actively, so I guess they arrested people at whenever there was a good opportunity. But it does seem like it's kind of like contain and just contain. It's just a containment strategy,
The other thing is that if Kyle had a business and he was a local business owner and he protected his business, or he was a homeowner and somebody stepped into the home or was trespassing the home, it would have been a completely different story, and I would be on his side. And Damien, it's not that his age, whatever, he's 17. If he had been in a property that belonged to him or his family and this would have happened, then I would have said, okay, he acted to protect his property, but this was a nosy guy. This was some guy that was just there, wrong time, wrong place, not helping the situation at all. In fact, instead of helping, he killed people. So, in self-defense, we could argue, but still, basically did it backwards. So I know that, he could be innocent. He was already found innocent by the legal system. Another matter is whether ethically he was in the right. And I just
what? I'll grant you that you could the way your view is your view. That's your opinion, and that's all good with me. You can say that the Pope is a evil person for what he does. Other people can say that the Pope is a great person for what he does. It doesn't matter what we feel or think of these people. It's what they did and what caused it. And let's say Kyle is terrible for going there with a firearm and he killed people. But we're talking about what caused it. And to me, you're the person who caused it all and is the bad person for all this is Kyle. For me, it's Rosenbaum.
No, I don't even think it's like it's. I don't know. I feel like I guess I'm gonna be too like high level. You know what I mean? Way too high. But obviously, like this was all caused. Like I mean, let's look here. I almost forget. The Kyle Rittenhouse. It got so much publicity that I almost forgot about this. You know what I mean? The reason.
Yeah, Jacob Blake. Oh, don't worry. We're gonna go back to that and George Floyd because that's another one that Jacob Blake that we don't agree on. With Marty and I don't agree, and we're gonna look at that too. We're gonna scrutinize that. But I guess before we jump that leap into that.
No, I'm not jumping into it. Hold on. Maybe I am jumping into it.
Save that keep it fresh. Don't forget. But let me just show you this one.
Hold on. Let me say it just real quick.
Okay.
I want to say it does like the high level. I'm not going to talk about Jacob Blake specifically, but it's kind of like how you were kind of saying earlier in the beginning of the conversation, Maudi. People there is a big distrust for police and, you know, and how they handle certain things in certain communities. You know what I mean? So it's just, I mean, I guess it's kind of, and that's just always going to kind of be like, I guess the situation, the kind of like I forget what it's called. I'm just going to call it like, you know, there's a lot of policemen that definitely do not make the right decisions when they're supposed to. You know, they're representatives of the police force, the folks that are there to protect and serve. And, you know, it was a reaction towards that, a reaction. You know, people just don't know what to do. And I guess there's some people with some ill intent, but there's a lot of anger and frustration and, yeah, a lot of damage. So,
yeah, there's also, to go back to the fine line between who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. And everybody looked at me like, well, you know, but then in this conversation, we're even confused who the good guy, who the bad guy was.
Oh, I'm not confused at all. Like, who's good and bad here?
No, I know, but
I think Kyle, as a 17-year-old, maybe his parents, I don't know his, like I said in the past, I don't know his relationship with his parents, but as a dad, and I don't know his mental state and what his background is, but he was apparently in some, he was enrolled in something with the police department, or like the youth wanted to be a police officer or something like that.
I mean, it's like you said, like if he was able to, you brought up an example about how he was able to quickly bring the Bayar back into action.
Yeah, so he was trained. I mean, he was holding. I mean, you can clearly tell he was trained because he didn't miss his targets. He was trained. He unjammed it right away. He never aimed it. Whenever he did hold his firearm, I noticed he always had his index finger not on the trigger, which is something they train you to do. You never put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to use it. And he always had his index finger like this while he's holding it. I noticed that. So yeah, when it comes to training and holding a gun, I mean, he wasn't holding that shit like a kid. I'll tell you that. I've seen some criminals there, like 30-year-old, 20-year-old criminals, thugs that don't even know how to fucking hold it right, and they shoot the gun like this and all that bullshit. So they're untrained for sure. He was definitely trained. But hey, I like how they say 2 protesters in the aftermath were killed, shot and killed. You remember there's oh, no, never mind. That's taking away the 2 protests. It should have been 1 protester. That's actually not going with my story here, with my narrative. This is messing with my agenda, the Damien agenda. No. But anyways, because we're gonna get into that too. I just now that I see it, I forgot 2 were killed, not 3. So two people were killed in the incident. One of them was a protester, one was not, and that's going to be Rosenbaum, who should have never been there. If you want to talk about who should not have been there, who had no bone or no dog in the fight, it was Rosenbaum. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. I just want to go ahead and quickly put this last video that it like puts the timeline all together, and it shows other clips that your video didn't show.
Yes,
and then Marty, if you want to go ahead and look for something that's going to refute us or anything.
No, I think
videos or evidence.
I think Marty's gonna say it's 2:00, and I think we have to keep time of the, because I know I was gonna say that.
I know. No, you almost read my mind. I just wanted to, before you show the video, just to kind of like agree with Joe about like the way that the police is handling situations in communities, minority communities. I mean, you can also pose the question of where is the crime?
The thing is, that's a different topic. It's very elaborate because every police station is different. There are small little towns where they do it right, and there's small little towns where they're corrupt as hell. Just like recently, a little town called Coffee, like north of Houston, had employed 250 police. And most of them were like, they had been fired for other mishandlings in other departments. And they were like, they were charging people with speeding tickets all the time. And they were working another job as security. It was some shady shit going on. The chief, the main guy was, he had lied on his application. He didn't disclose that he had DWI. The local news station in Houston and elsewhere, they went and interrogated him. He did an interview. He lied. He didn't say that. They asked him, why didn't you disclose it? And he said he didn't think it was important. He'd forgotten about it, and he answers the questions to the best of his abilities. Well, like a week later, he had to resign, and he was fired. But so there, every town is different, and it's like you have to look at every little department, how they do things, how they answer to certain events. A riot, a protest, it doesn't happen every day. It's not like anyone's instinct is to, oh, let's do this. This is how you're supposed to do it. No, because every riot is different. Sometimes, so in a protest, you have to look at the streets, the way it's laid out. What businesses are being affected? Who is there? How many protesters? How many groups? Okay, are they doing the protest in one street? Are they all over the goddamn place? So while that's going on, don't forget there's also real crime going on. Okay, we have to dispatch 100 units here. We need to have a backup here. We need to call the National Security Guard to help us out. And so there's a lot of moving pieces. And then while some things are erupting here, they could get a call that there's a rape or murder or fire going on there. So they have to adapt every fucking second of the event because there's just so much going on. And we don't know because we're not working there. But I can only imagine like how chaotic and how intense it is when this is something that comes out of the blue and you're not really well equipped, you're not well trained on the matter, and the top guys have to make the right decision. And at the same time, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. Doesn't matter what the fuck you do, you're gonna get pinned for it. And so everyone's trying to cover their asses. And at the same time, there's the policies, and then it's just so much that you have to take into account. It's not like a simple solution as is okay. And they tried. They had a curfew. Okay, and guess what? People were still out there, no matter what. The people were there beyond the curfew. Now, what are you gonna do? You're gonna arrest 100 people?
They arrest.
No.
So there's 2 plus arrests.
Huh?
250 plus arrests.
250 plus arrests.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably the people. Okay, so who did they arrest? People who were cutting the curfew? People who were causing chaos?
Probably.
People who were rioting? Because they're not gonna arrest just anyone and everybody.
Let me see.
Just before for timekeeping purposes, how about 320?
320 sounds good to me.
Okay.
I'm okay with 320. So, there's a lot that goes on during the riot, and it's what the easy thing to say is the police fucked up. That's so easy. It's just you tell me, oh, this happened. In 10 minutes, I made my opinion, and I'm gonna say, oh yeah, whatever the media said. Yeah, their police are wrong. That's a lazy way to approach things, and that's what most people do. They get presented this information for 5 minutes on the TV. They're like, oh yeah, he's bad, and then from that point on, you become biased, and you stick to that little information that you have, and from there you make your decisions on everything else. And so anyway, let me just present this one little. That way we can move on to the Jacob Blake because I know we want to talk about that too. But I think this video does a great job of presenting the whole timeline and showing videos that you didn't see. And at the end, Marty, I know, unfortunately, I don't have this is not the best channel because it's a podcaster commentating, but he's able to show you the videos. So the videos and the sources that he presents, you can look up later if you want and see if they're right or wrong, and we can go over them too. But it's a little harder to fake a video and that he presents. So let's just watch the whole thing, and then we'll take it from there. I think he does a great job of showing you and breaking down what happened, the timeline. All right, one second. I'm going to go and present it real quick. Breakdown, share.
People started burning down their own city. 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, who lived about 30 minutes from Kenosha, where the Jacob Blake shooting took place, got a rifle and drove down to Kenosha. He joined up with a small group of people who, armed with rifles, are trying to defend businesses in the area. A journalist asked him before everything got crazy, hey, what are you doing here? He said something along the lines of, well, I'm down here to defend businesses.
You're armed and you're in front of this business we saw burning last night. So what's up?
So people are getting injured, and our job is to protect this business, and part of my job is to also help people. If there's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way.
With all the shooting stuff, I want to point out that it is illegal for a 17-year-old to possess a rifle in the state of Wisconsin. Let's talk about Kyle's background just a little bit before we get into the shooting. According to some reports, he was obsessed with Blue Lives Matter. Another report says he was fixated on supporting police. What they mean by obsessed and fixated is
let me backtrack on what he was talking about. That way it doesn't seem like I'm trying to cut that part out. So we're gonna a matter of fact, I'm not gonna cut it anymore. So
Well, people can watch the video as well
Before we get started with all the shooting stuff, I want to point out that it is illegal for a 17-year-old to possess a rifle in the state of Wisconsin. Let's talk about Kyle's background just a little bit before we get into the shooting. According to some reports, he was obsessed with Blue Lives Matter. Another report says he was fixated on supporting police. What they mean by obsessed and fixated is that he was a police explorer when he was younger, and he liked the page humanizing the badge and Blue Lives Matter, like I do. I used to write for Blue Lives Matter, and he had some Back the Blue and some Thin Blue Line pictures on his Facebook page. If that's being obsessed with police, then I don't know what I am. To me, it just looks like he supported law enforcement. Timeline. Before the shooting, Kyle could be...
Yeah, I mean, he could be a Boy Scout, and we could look at him like he's a Boy Scout. Yeah, but keep playing it.
Seen right here trying to clean graffiti off of a local high school. A couple minutes before the shooting, Kyle gave an interview to independent journalist Richie MCG.
You obviously are armed, and you're in front of this business we saw burning last night. So what's up?
So people are getting injured, and our job is to protect this business, and part of my job is to also help people. If there's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way. That's why I have my rifle, because I can protect myself, obviously. But I also have my med kit.
From what Kyle says here, he wants to protect businesses, he wants to be able to protect himself using that rifle, and he wants to be able to help people with the medic bag that he has. You probably already know Kyle shot some people. He killed 2 and wounded a 3rd. We're going to go over every single one of them with multiple angles. The first shooting. The first person that Kyle shot was 36-year-old Joseph Rosenbaum. Earlier that night, he was filmed by someone saying, "Shoot me," N-word with a soft A.
Shoot me. Well, shoot me.
In another picture, you can see Rosenbaum standing with the second person who was shot by Kyle directly behind him. That's the skateboard guy we're going to watch here in a minute. This picture is circulating on the internet saying that Rosenbaum was a sex offender. When I go to the same website, though, I can't get anyone with the last name Rosenbaum to pop up. It looks like that might be BS. I don't know. I'm just here to give you the facts. There are 2...
You see, that's a good point. I'm glad I missed that when I watched it. You see what he has shared? He said that there might have been fake news going on about him being like some child predator or something, but he tried to look it up on the same website, but it's not popping up anymore.
Yeah,
that's something that good that we can look up. Oh.
I'm sure the viewers can watch the video. One thing that he said that I think is worth maybe kind of spending a little bit of time is like the whole fake news kind of thing, and this maybe campaign from other forces, other people trying to inflict more division in our society. I know that that's been a subject of discussion with like the Russians and the Chinese putting out very believable pictures and videos and stuff.
Yeah,
to see online and to just kind of like
to feed some narrative or to help your case. Yeah, I like that he put that out there. That was really good because I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Different angles of the first shooting. If you look closely, that's Kyle taking off right here while being chased by people.
Oh, he got a gun! He got a gun! Fuck you!
Get down.
Let's slow it down and look at it a little bit closer. If you listen closely, you can hear 1 shot followed by 4 more shots. Those 4 shots that you hear after the initial one or Kyle shooting.
Oh, he got a gun! He got a gun! Fuck you!
The first shot was fired by someone who was behind Kyle. What it looks like is Rosenbaum is chasing him and throws something.
How would he know?
People
How
on
would
the
he
internet
know
are saying
that
it's a
wasn't
Molotov
Kyle
cocktail.
shooting first?
I
That
don't
you can't
think
tell.
that it is. It looks like something inside of like a Walmart bag.
That's a good question. But I think that's we can go to the trial evidence because I think it's already that was already in the trial about what happened in the shots, and then the trial actually does a way better job of showing you 3D models and like different like made up scenarios and examples of what occurred that night. Are way more elaborate. We can look into those and use it.
Yeah,
Then
I
the
also
shot gets
feel that.
fired by the person with a handgun behind Rosenbaum. Kyle turns around and sees Rosenbaum running at him and fires 4 shots, hitting Rosenbaum in the head.
Yeah, that's Antifa, man. Oh, he got a gun, baby. Oh, they shoot.
So that actually shows you the first shot. You were asking about how does he know? Because he circled the handgun that shoots.
Yeah. Maybe before we keep going, we should.
Oh, we got a gun, baby.
What's that?
I'm saying we should possibly do some. I feel like in the end, this video is going to show that, which I don't mind watching. I'll watch it, but I feel like maybe we should do a little bit of like closing arguments of like, hey, or maybe people already know where we stand, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you can. By this point, everybody knows where we stand. Right here. That's the first shot of the handgun.
I'm just thinking of like how fun is it going to be for people that are like listening on their phone, like, you know what I mean? They're not really watching; they're listening.
Other angle.
That's a good point, man.
The first shot
that we did initially. That's okay. Not every
Kyle stops, runs back around to Rosenbaum, who he just shot, who's laying on the ground. You hear someone say, call 911. Kyle takes out his cell phone, and I'm guessing he was trying to call 911.
We don't know that part.
Yeah. Also, we don't have to
daddy.
watch the whole video because I think we're kind of milking his content. And at the end of the day, we're doing the podcast because it's our view, not his view.
Yeah, strangulation and suffocation with a modifier of domestic abuse, false imprisonment with a modifier of
No, I wanted to show that part right here that we didn't see. It was mainly this part right here where there's more to it than that part, but it was with Rosenbaum. That's what I was trying to get at right here. Where he's the one, and there's more video content of him doing stuff, talking like this, where he's actually there using the N word.
Oh, that's the guy. Okay, I just realized it. Sorry.
That's the guy who was shooting. The first guy.
In another picture, you can see Rosenbaum standing.
So that's the one I wanted to show.
That sucks. That sucks for him, man. Like, you know, like he was, I guess he was being pretty aggressive, and unfortunately, he paid the ultimate price by playing around with that rather than, you know.
You want to see the actual trial of the breakdown of the one that was called the third shooter?
Not right now, just because like we're running close to 15 minutes, and you know I feel like it's probably going to take a little bit. So
yeah, I think we should close it with like just kind of like where we stand in terms of Kyle, and because I mean we really have 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. That we only really have 5 minutes.
Wait, 5 minutes for what?
For these closing arguments, and then we're gonna shoot the shit for another 10.
Well, I thought we said at 3:20, so it's 2:15, isn't it?
No, that's what I'm saying. We're just gonna kind of wrap up the conversation for this point.
For Kyle Rittenhouse and move on to the next one.
Well, I don't know. Let's see. So Damien, can you just sum up your position? Actually, before you go, Damien, Mauri.
Well, it's not that I can sum it up. It's just that I'm trying to present the evidence here. Hey, I'm the one. I'm trying to come up with all these different points, and now we're getting into the trial and what was allowed as evidence, and with the defense and the prosecutors, and the crosses. I mean, there's a lot to it too. Beyond this scenario, I mean, you see Joseph Rosenbaum and how he kind of started the thing, how he's the one being the aggressor, cursing.
I mean,
you know what? We put all this focus on Kyle. Why don't we, how about we focus a little bit on just Joseph before we finish, and then that's it? Because he's the one. Because in my eye, he's the one who started. In Marty's eye, it was Kyle who started by being there with Preston with his gun when he shouldn't have been.
No,
So,
I mean, I guess you know, obviously they were kind of. I mean, if you listen, bro, there's so many different levels of layers and shit like that. But I mean, if you listen to the first thing that they said, like Joseph, I mean, yeah, he was pissed off, but why was he pissed off? Shoot me.
right. Let's look at that. That's what I'm trying to find that one part. Here, I'll skip this one. This has to do with
They're all wrong.
with the trial and how would they show how he shot him after he was pointed at with the gun, and then the guy, he pretty much has to admit that he did aim the gun at Kyle. So in the court, that's when the defense was like, it was a pivotal moment for them, that they knew they had won that case against KG. But okay, let's go to the Rosenbaum.
Sorry, I have to stand up because my fucking legs are starting to hurt.
This is the Washington Post. Can we allow this one? This one talks about how they crossed paths supposedly. Oh, that's too long. That's a 23-minute video.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into the he said, she said. It was like, it was Kyle's fault. It was like, Joseph Rosenbaum fault. The end of the day, both of them shouldn't have been there. Both of them shouldn't have had weapons. Both of them shouldn't.
No. Rosenbaum didn't have a weapon.
Yeah.
He was trying to reach for Kyle's weapon. Why does he keep fucking playing? What the fuck?
There, it's just kind of like, who knows, man? Like we saw that Wikipedia article. It turns out that throughout that 4-day event, the Kenosha situation,
So the protests were only 4 days. Is that what it said?
Let me see. I'm going back. The Kenosha unrest, that's what they call it. And it seems like it was. Yeah.
While you're looking that up, I just want to add one thing, because remember there was a prior shooting before Kyle shot those 4 shots. The guy who shot in the air. That's crazy that nobody brings that point up. The point that he's being chased and there's a gunshot.
No, yeah, dude. Like that's the reason he was acquitted. I mean, he was.
No, but I'm just trying to say, like, why did he use lethal force in the beginning? That you can add that to the reasoning. Like if you're being chased and then you hear a gunshot from that distance, that's close. You don't know. And the gunshot is so loud that can see. You don't know if it's this far or that far. At that range, you're like, oh, I'm getting shot.
Exactly.
I'm being shot. Now I gotta shoot back. So more of a reason to, oh fuck, I'm getting shot at. And the guy tries to reach at your gun, you turn around, and oh fuck, bam, 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 bam. I mean, that's more of a reason to use your firearm in that situation.
There's something really off with the whole situation, just because, like, I really feel. I mean, I thought he was more part of a group, but to be honest, it really just like how could he be part of a group? And it seems like he's just the only one running away, in that situation.
Yeah,
it's
right. Weird. No, you're right. But he was part of a group. He was there with another group of guys who were taking their business. But but the thing is, it was deviated and organized. But you don't know what happened, and then maybe he walked away, because this happened in the gas station when he started running away from.
I think he got a little too overconfident with him and his gun. I think that gun pop provided a kind of a false sense of security, and things kind of.
It could have, or maybe, but it does. But the thing is, whether he deviated or he was, who knows why he left and why? Yeah. Maybe he was trying to help. There was a fire. He was trying to put out. Somebody was injured. He's, oh, you need help, and he deviates, and everyone's trying to do something here and there, and it's just a riot. There's a lot of movement and walking and moving around.
I think what Joe's trying to say is that a good guy with a gun sometimes is not helping matters. Sometimes. I'm sorry, Damien. I mean, I know you were getting mad at it, but it's okay if we disagree about, who, whether he should have been there or should have had the weapon or not. It just comes down to sometimes holding a weapon is not going to make you the most valuable asset in a situation that's already unfolding to be a disaster. I mean, look at the damage that was caused, on the properties. It was like 15-20 million or something. I forget the exact number.
Yeah, with other people who maybe they didn't even have guns that were more expensive. Yeah, you're right. All the other people did a lot of damage, and they weren't holding a gun. And who did Kyle Rittenhouse kill? He killed people who attacked him. I mean, all the people who didn't attack Kyle were okay. Only the people that attacked Kyle were, harmed or killed.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is something that even attack people who were not involved. No innocent person was involved. Okay, if you're attacking a 17-year-old kid, you're chasing him down, throwing him shit at him, trying to get his gun for whatever reason. Who are you? Who is the wrong person here? Like, who is the one who's cost? Your focus is on Kyle and how he's a good person, bad person, whatever person. It doesn't matter what he is, if he was good or bad or shouldn't have been there. It's like who started this, who instigated, who was the person who caused this the shooting. Was it Kyle? Was he the one who was aiming the gun at people? Was he there aiming the gun at Rosenbaum? Hey, my presence with a gun, this offends you? Guess what? In America, if you hold an open carry or you have a gun on your waist, doesn't mean that it doesn't matter if it offends you. Even if I curse at you, Marty, even if I curse at Rosenbaum or Kyle curses and says, "Oh, y'all motherfuckers shouldn't be here. Fuck y'all motherfuckers." It doesn't matter what he says. We have freedom of speech, and as long as he doesn't say things that threatens a person's life or doesn't ask people to attack some other people, then he has every right to say what he wants. He has every right to be present where he wants in public space. And just because he's holding a gun and you think it's offensive or it's instigating, or it doesn't matter. And the way, if you see it like that, you are wrong, because then because you're justifying an action of you. Okay, he shouldn't be doing that, so I can go attack him. Or he shouldn't be. But no, he can, and he has every right. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't justify anyone attacking him. And so Kyle didn't start or cause or provoke anyone with his action, with his legal rights of doing what he was doing. And Rosenbaum was the one who was instigating, being the aggressor. And yeah, he can say F you, Kyle, whatever, but he was saying more than just that. He was saying, shoot me, N-word. Shoot me. And that's usually when there's a police shooting where it's a suicide by cop, that's what you hear from these crazy lunatics that commit suicide by cop. Shoot me. And that's kind of like what this Rosenbaum guy was doing. He was saying, shoot me, chasing the guy down with a gun, throwing shit at him. He got what he wanted, maybe. Maybe he did want to get shot because he was asking for it. Hey, Marty, if you don't want to get shot, are you going to go to a guy with a gun and say, shoot me? Is that what you're going to
do? Yeah. Well, no, obviously not.
If you don't want to get shot by a guy with a gun, are you going to go and be like, shoot me, motherfucker, and then go throw shit at him while he's running away and chase him and, I said, shoot me, bitch, and grab his gun and then expect not to be shot and killed?
No,
but I know, Marty, it was Kyle. Kyle did it. It was all him.
No.
He's the bad person with a gun. He's the bad guy. He should not have been there.
Well, he shouldn't have been there because I don't think he contributed anything to it.
I'm thinking about the more. I know what you're saying. He should hold a gun. He's allowed to have a gun. He's not allowed.
No, not allowed. He's 17. It's illegal.
So
But here's the thing: under the laws in Wisconsin, with the hunting 16 and 17 is a gray area, and so because of that, the charges were never really followed up.
Okay, so already the argument of him holding a gun is already kind of murky.
He is murky. Yeah, that part is definitely murky. And if there was like a clear, like where there's no hunting and holding a rifle, then we can agree, okay, that was illegal, and we can say that was illegal. And at that point, we could say, yeah, that's what the first crime occurred that shouldn't have occurred. But just because, I'll use the same argument that they use on other criminals. Just because someone is stealing, let's say, with no gun, if someone is stealing food or something, and he's running away, he's not a threat to you, you cannot kill him because he's not an imminent threat to you.
Yeah.
Because that little petty crime is not worth a life, right?
So let us suppose that there's obviously no what ifs or what could have happened or what might have been if, but let's just suppose that Kyle was 21, and maybe he had the right to be carrying a weapon freely and do with the weapon whatever he wanted to do, shoot it at the sky, whatever.
That's illegal too, by the way, shooting up in the sky
or at the ground. I don't know. According to you, he should be able to carry the weapon freely and just carry it, display it, right? So my thing is, I'm not so much thinking about like taking away the gun from him. I'm thinking about the more primitive aspect of human beings to want to protect their own under the circumstance of an invader, someone that is there. And in that case, to me, I know that in Kyle's mind, all those people are the people invading, but in the crowd's mind, Kyle is the invader, and so he's stepping into a territory that has been claimed by a tribe of human beings. I know I'm speaking in terms of like, tribes and like very primitive ways, but I think the human mind reverts to that. At some point, we want to protect our own. And Kyle, to Joe's point, was there alone, and he's the lone wolf, kind of like being invasive in a space where people are already being anarchists disrupting or whatever, but that's their group, and people are going to take away outliers, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Unfortunately, it happens in primates, it happens with us. So I understand what you're saying. He's a good guy, or he thinks he's a good guy, and he's there with a weapon. And the Second Amendment is, it's obviously never going to be taken away from people, and their guns will never be taken away. But you got to know the context that you're stepping into. And I think in that context, I would have let the professionals, the people that have been more times in danger and have been more exposed to that kind of like level of stress to handle that situation. And I think Kyle, to be honest, I know probably he has training with a gun, but he does not have the psychological composure to be dealing in those type of scenarios. And that's why I think that's why I think it was wrong for him to be there. And I don't want to portray him as a bad person. I think he's a good guy, but I think his whatever he brought to the table that day wasn't ideal.
Right. Now you're saying that he doesn't pose the right strategy or the right education or whatever. He's not old enough. I understand that. Hey, everybody. Hey. Look at that. Victoria just walked in.
I have candy.
You have candy? Oh my God. Look at that. She stuffed her whole with candy.
Oh, Madeline.
You stole that candy? Why are you hiding it in there? You don't got a bag? Oh my goodness. But yeah, so yeah. You're saying that Kyle doesn't have he's not equipped mentally in all this. But I mean, like I said, I'm not here to say whether he is mentally adept or not. A 12-year-old could be smarter than him, or a 20-year-old can be dumber than him. I'm not there to tell you where he is mentally. I didn't follow him academically. I don't have that information present with me. Just because he's 17, I can't say whether he is mentally fit or unfit. But based on what I saw, he didn't seem like, and the way he interacted with the interview and the way he was acting, it didn't seem like he was mentally unstable. He wasn't aiming and causing havoc. He was trying to provide aid. I didn't see him at any point show any signs of aggression or somebody who was trying to start violence. You may say that you could say that he wasn't old enough to be there. That's just an age thing to me right now at this point. But I didn't see anything that showed that he wasn't able to handle the situation, because he was doing just fine up until that moment when Rosenbaum chased him. And if you want to say that he doesn't know how to handle the situation, then we can look at it two different ways, because he handled it the best way anyone should have when they're being attacked like that. I mean, the way he defended himself, any other person it could have been me, I would have probably been killed. I don't know. I think he hit every key moment right when it came to pulling the trigger, to running away, to from the moment he was chased by Rosenbaum, that moment to the very end when he raised his hands to the police. Every moment, every decision he made, or every action mattered, and it was to save his life. And I think he executed everything right to save himself at that moment, because at that moment his life was in danger. because it doesn't matter why he was being chased. He had after he shot Rosenbaum, he had an angry mob against him, and they were willing to hit him with a skateboard. One of them was willing to shoot him in the head, and he executed everything correct. I don't think a dumb 17-year-old could have done that. I think a dumb 17-year-old would have been killed. And I've seen a lot of kids that age that are way stupider.
The only dumb 17-year-old thing that I guess he did was be alone when this all happened.
Yeah, and why did that happen? Why did he deviate from his grip? We don't know why, but that doesn't really matter because that's not even illegal. That's not like you're not part of that group. You're not part of that game plan. You don't know what that was about. Whether maybe it could have been that there was a huge crowd that swarmed all of them and they got pressed away or something. I don't know what happened, but that doesn't just because he got separated from his group doesn't mean that he's not mentally adapt for the situation.
But he was like, if you're gonna make those analogies, like from the wild, bro, they separated him from the herd.
From the herd, yeah.
The lions came. Yeah, and I guess he ended up escaping.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? You could put the argument that since he was like the innocent buck, he was the young buck, and there were predators trying to kill him. They're like, oh, he's the baby. Let's separate him from the herd. Yeah, we gotta separate. Now we can get him.
No, they don't always look for the baby. They just like to separate the adults too.
Yeah. You see, they were trying to. You see, and that's a point that he was the target. He was the target. They were trying to target him. That's what the argument is pushing.